Are you serious? Are you serious? We are very serious. We have breaking news just in. I actually watched as it came off the lips of the president, Joe Biden, as he spoke. And it's important because it has to do with the Middle East. And there has been a proposal that has been submitted by Israel to Hamas. Let me just put a shout out real fast for www.mypillow.com/Paul. Use the promo code Paul. That's www.mypillow.com/Paul. Use the promo code Paul for even more savings. And you'll be really glad you did. I want to thank Mike Lindell for offering this to our audience. And it's a great blessing. And know that a percentage of that is a blessing to Paul Begley Prophecy Ministries. So, again, that's www.mypill.com/Paul. And then when you get there, use the promo code Paul. Okay. Now, here's what's going on. Of course, we'll talk about the webinar in just a second, but I want to, which is only 4 hours away, by the way. If you haven't got your ticket, get it now. Get it right now. Matter of fact, we've opened up a second phone line. I probably should put that on there before I get too far here. Give me 1 second. Let's put that second phone number up. 765-414-6299. Okay, that is a second phone line. So if you call the first one, 765-414-2230, that's the main office. If it's busy, try the second line, 765-414-6299, or just simply go to our website and get your ticket right there on the spot, or go to Eventbrite and get your ticket, okay? We're just 4 hours away. All right, here's what's going on with Israel. It's a huge situation. So Israel, this just in. Matter of fact, I was listening to the president and writing down the proposal myself with my ink pen. And basically, here's what we've got. The proposal that Israel's offering is a 6-week ceasefire that would pave the way then for negotiations to eventually end the war and to fully rebuild Gaza. Number one, it's time for this war to end in Gaza. That's what Joe Biden said. Israel's push into central Rafah, he says, is defying international pressure. Israel says its latest operation in Jabalia is over. And so the concentration is strictly on Rafah, which is where Hamas has crawled into a bunker in a corner, basically, and Israel wants to finish them. Palestinian residents returning to Jabalia in northern Gaza find that it is massive devastation as they're returning. So that's one of the reasons Israel is saying we got to rebuild Gaza if they want to end this war. Now, President Biden said Friday that Hamas was no longer capable of carrying out a major terror attack anymore on Israel, and declared that it was time for permanent ceasefire in Gaza. At this point, Hamas is no longer capable of carrying out another October 7, Biden said from the White House. It's time for this war to end, for the day after to begin. Now, here is what they are proposing. It would be 2 phases. Phase 1, and I wrote this down as he was talking. Phase 1, this would be a full ceasefire for 6 weeks, okay? Complete full ceasefire for 6 weeks. Number 2, Israel would withdraw all forces out of Gaza. So Israel would make a complete withdrawal out of Gaza. Number 3, there would be the release of the hostages and the bodies. This is huge. Number 4, so Hamas would have to release the hostages that are alive and the bodies of those that are dead. Number 4, the Palestinians would be able to go home in Gaza, back to where they came from within Gaza. They got to stay in the Gaza Strip. And when they go home, they may find their home has been destroyed. Okay? So there would be 100,000 temporary housing put up for those that are really destitute. So, no, they're not going to build everybody's house, but not this initially, not in phase one, but they will immediately put up 100,000, basically tents for temporary housing. And then also, Israel would allow 600 trucks of aid of food and medical supplies every day to flow into Gaza. 600 trucks a day for the entire 6 weeks. That is phase one. Phase two is really convoluted. President Biden says, number one, exchange for all living hostages. Well, I thought we did that in phase one. So, number two, a permanent stop to all hostilities. Well, ceasefire is a permanent stop of hostilities. Phase two is it's a permanent stop to all hostilities between both sides. And number three, return all hostage bodies. But I thought that was done in phase one. Release all hostages and bodies of the hostages. That's in phase one. It was the third point out of 6. But phase two is basically saying stop all hostilities and we'll exchange all the bodies and all the living hostages. Well, so it sounds like phase two is a part of phase one. But there is one other part of phase two, and that is negotiations. Negotiations of, I guess, who's going to be in control of Gaza. The one thing he never said in all of this, he did say this: the United States and its partners will totally rebuild Gaza. So are you ready for a tax increase? If you are, raise up your hand. USA will, with partners, and I would hope that meant some of the EU countries and maybe even some of the Middle East brothers would help pitch in and rebuild. So get ready for a tax increase. And then the second thing he said, Saudi Arabia would be willing to sign an agreement of normalization with Israel, a peace normalization with Israel. Now, that could be just a separate agreement between the two of them, or Saudi Arabia could be incorporated, or Saudi Arabia could be incorporated into the Abraham Accords. And if that happens, there's 11 more nations who said when Saudi Arabia joined the Abraham Accords, then we'll join. There's 11 more. So right now, Jimmy Carter brought in Egypt. That was the first one. Bill Clinton brought in Jordan. That was the second one. And Donald Trump brought in 5 more nations to make 7. Now, if this happens, Saudi Arabia would join. They would be nation number 8. And then you'd have 11 more that would join, would make 19 nations making up. That would be pretty well a covenant of many for sure. And you could mark it down. If Dr. Irvin Baxter was here, here's what he would say to you. I'm not saying this, but this is what he would say to you, because he said it to me on television when I was interviewing him for a television show for the coming apocalypse. He said, when you see the covenant of many signed, peace deal that includes the covenant of many signed, you can start the clock. The 7-year tribulation period has begun. The first 3.5 years will be peaceful, and the second half will be hell on earth. And at some point, the Christians are raptured. And that's the debate between people all over the world. When is that? So, but that's what he would tell you, because that's exactly what he believed and preached. I'm not saying that that's true. I don't know when the clock starts, even when but I do know that if there's a covenant with many signed, then I would think that would include maybe the stepping stones to the building of the third temple. And I really think you have to build the third temple before maybe the clock even starts, because 2 Thessalonians says that then the Antichrist walks into the temple of God before the worshipers of God and declares that he is God. He reveals himself. And that's at the 3.5-year period of the book of Revelation and of the tribulation. But anyway, That doesn't matter. What matters is we're really in the end times. So this agreement on the table is huge. Will it hold? And here's the question. That's Israel's offer, Israel's olive branch. But what it doesn't address is what about the two-state solution? Does that mean it's gone? Number two, what about Hamas? Are they out of power? They have to surrender? They're gone? And number three, who is going to run Gaza? Are the Palestinians going to have a new election and choose a new government there? Underneath, of course, the head of Israel, underneath Israel's leadership, or Israel's, or do they put, or is Hamas going to get to remain in power in Gaza? Or is there a two-state solution coming out of this, and that will be announced later in phase 3? We don't know, but you're right, Enter Sweet Rest. This is the fig tree. We are in the fig tree generation. We are there. When did the clock start? I don't know. 1948, some would say. Well, Israel's 76 years old. And this generation shall not pass until they see the Son of Man. Or did the clock start in 1967 during the Six-Day War when Jerusalem was set free and Israel took back its property? Or did it start after the Yom Kippur War of 1973? Or did it start in 1917 under the Balfour Declaration when the British took all of the Holy Land back from the fallen Ottoman Empire of Turkey? Did that start it? If so, we're already over 107 years old in the fig tree generation. Or does it start on the signing of a covenant with many? We just don't know where it starts exactly. There's a lot of places you could stick a pin and say, let's start here. That's why God said, don't try to create the timeline, folks. Just watch the sign line, okay? Just watch the sign line. This is big news. It's just in. It's just happened. And again, he left out the big points. We don't know who's going to rule Gaza. We don't know if Hamas has to surrender. We don't know if they're going to create a two-state solution. We just don't know those key points. And if those key points could break down and your ceasefire would come to an end. I really don't believe that Israel is going to withdraw all their troops when they're this close away from finishing off Hamas, unless this document says there will be no two-state solution. I don't think they'll stop. Certainly, they're not going to hand this thing back over to Hamas. But then again, Benjamin Netanyahu is getting a ton of pressure from his own part of his own government, who are saying, enough's enough. Let's just leave it alone. Let Hamas have it. We've pretty well got them beat down for the next 20 years. Let's just move on. Let's rebuild their. And it's possible that Saudi Arabia, who, oh, by the way, saying that they'll jump in here now and sign an agreement. Why are they jumping in to sign an agreement now? Is it because they want to be the ones that rebuild Gaza? Because remember, Mohammed bin Salman said he would love to turn the Gaza Strip into the Vegas Strip. And it'd be easy to do right now because the Gaza Strip's destroyed. So you just bring in the bulldozers and run everything out of the way, clear it all off, and start building casinos, hotels, restaurants, boardwalks along the Mediterranean, beaches, and just turn that entire area along the Mediterranean into a carnival similar to the boardwalk in New Jersey, with a little flair of Vegas. I don't know. But and maybe that's what they want. That's what I know Mohammed bin Salman wants. He wants to make a ton of money. So somebody's got to rebuild it. It may not be us. It may be Saudi Arabia if they get to control it, manage it, build it, and create this carnival atmosphere. Or does the Americans have to pay for everything? Right now, right now we're agreeing to pay for everything. Yeah, I know. A flare of Vegas. I know. I don't know how to explain it. This is what they want to do, okay? It's what they want to do. So, wow, guys. Now, we are just 3 hours and 45 minutes away from the webinar. It's incredible. Get your tickets. There's 2 phone lines now. The phone is ringing off the hook, so I've opened up a second phone line because some people want to call and order their ticket on the spot and make sure that their name is in the list and their link is ready so that they get it at 6 o'clock. Even if you go to my website, if you order it right now, you will get your link. It will release to you at 6 o'clock. Go now, get your ticket. This is incredible. This just in. I'm going to make a prediction. Israel's offer will be rejected by Hamas because it doesn't say Hamas can remain in power. And they will probably come back and say, nope, we're not going to accept this unless you agree that Hamas will remain in power. And Israel has, in the phase 1, to stop this fighting, Israel does not want to address that. Not in phase 1. We can negotiate phase 2. So I'm saying Israel has offered a 6-week ceasefire. Quit beating Israel up and saying that they just want to do all this. The ball's in Hamas's court. What's the Bible say? James Robinson, that comment is laughable, but I mean, I guess you're playing around. That's laughable. I guess you're joking.
Saturday was silent, and surely it was through. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? And Friday's disappointment is Sunday's empty tomb. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? This is the sound of a dry bones rattling. This is the praise make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Pentecostal fire, stirring something new. You're not gonna run out of miracles anytime soon. Your resurrection power.
I know you was joking, James.
I believe there's another miracle
Here in this room.
This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the praise make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming.
Thank you,
out.
5G.
I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling.
Thank you, cowgirl. Yep, preaching the gospel. 27 salvations last night. 27 salvations. We're now over 1,000 souls coming to Christ this year, but more to come.
My God is able to save and deliver and heal and restore anything that He wants to. Just ask the man who was thrown on the bones of Elisha if there's anything that He can do.
The salvation.
Just ask the stone that was rolled at the tomb in the garden. What happens when God says to move?
Thank you. My dad is much better and he's back home.
I feel Him moving it now. I feel Him doing it now. I feel Him doing it now. Do it now. Do it now. This is the sound of dry bones rattling.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
live again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again.
This is the sound of dry bones rattling.
Somebody shout, the word of the Lord is in the house. Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up from your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Then you shall know that I am the Lord, and I will put my spirit in you, and I will place you in your own land, and you shall live. I will place you in your own land. You shall live, 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 live. Oh, that's right. The prophecies are coming to pass. But will they force a two-state solution in the negotiations? Dry bones live. Dry bones live. Congratulations, cowgirl. Expecting a new baby at age 44. Congratulations. All right. Yeah. So this is, again, for those of you who just got here, Joe Biden just announced Israel has offered a 6-week ceasefire to the war on these conditions. 2 phases. Phase 1, a full ceasefire, including total withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. Number 3, release of all hostages and their bodies. Number 4, Palestinians go home. Go back to your homes where you came from, whether you came from Gaza City or, you came from these Jabula or wherever. All of that which is in the Gaza Strip, go back home. Number 5, the United States will start shipping in 600 trucks of food and medical supplies every day, 600 semi-loads every day to help feed and medical aid for the people in Gaza. And number 6, the United States will pay for it. 100,000 temporary housing. A lot of that will be, like massive tent cities. In different locations there. They'll set up, several of them. And probably 25,000 here, 25 there, probably 4 different ones, like 25,000 each. This is nowhere near what it takes for all the people's homes that have been destroyed in the war. But it does relieve the pressure and start the process. Now that's phase 1. Phase 2 would be negotiations. And it's a little confusing because Biden said, here's phase 2, exchange of all living hostages. Well, I thought we did that in phase 1. Number 2, a permanent stop to all hostilities. So, okay, you go from ceasefire to end of the war, basically. And number 3, return all hostages' bodies. But I thought we did that in phase 1. So basically, it's phase 2 is a negotiation. And he does not address who's going to be in charge of Gaza then. Is Israel in charge? Or is Hamas getting to stay in charge? Or will there be a 2-state solution? This is the unknown. This is the big question. And so to me, and then, and the last part of all of this is this, and then Saudi Arabia will sign an agreement of peaceful normalization with Israel, and will help the United States rebuild Gaza. And this peace deal with Israel means they'll set up embassies in each other's nations. They'll allow airline flights from Tel Aviv, into Saudi Arabia. They'll start trading, buying and selling of goods between the two nations. They'll start cooperating with each other. I'm thinking it could be a separate agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia, or it could be an agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel, and it's incorporated into the Abraham Accords. If it is, then Saudi Arabia will become the 8th nation to join the Abraham Accords. And there's 11 other nations who have already said, if Saudi Arabia joins, we'll join. And that would make 19 different nations would be signed under this called the Abraham Accords, this covenant. And that would be a covenant with many. And so that's where we're at. But we're a long way from that signature, folks, because when I'm looking at this, Israel has offered this for the phase 1 ceasefire. Will Hamas accept it? If not, Israel will continue to go down to try to destroy Hamas. And according to Benjamin Netanyahu, that will take the rest of the year, 7 more months of military action to finish off Hamas. So that's where we're at. That is right where we're at. And this is definitely a biblical moment. So, again, I just watched President Joe Biden explain that, and I wrote it down myself. And then the first article up on this just popped up 56 seconds ago. But it looks like it's slanted heavily toward the Palestinians. And it doesn't really line out what I just heard Biden say. So, and that's the New York Times, by the way. So anyway, that's where we're at, guys. That is right where we're at. Get your tickets now. We got 2 phone lines open. You can call the main line, 765-414-2230. That's 765-414-2230. Or if that line is busy, call this second line, which is 765. I got it right there on the ticker, 765-414-6299. That's 765-414-6299. I thought I put that on the ticker. I guess I didn't. Well, I better do that right now, hadn't I? Okay, there it is. So both lines are open if you need that to get, or you can go to Eventbrite and you can get your ticket at Eventbrite, or you can just go to my website and you'll see a blue banner right when you go to paulbegleyprophecy.com. There's this thin blue line across the page that says get your new web. What does it say exactly? Let me just click it and see. It says, it's a big blue line right in the middle of the page, and it says new webinar. Pole shift arrives Friday, May 31st. Reserve your seat now. Well, you click on that thin blue line, and that will take you right to the spot to order your ticket. And then, of course, once you order, then at 6 p.m. Eastern, all of these will be released. Everyone's going to get their link to this webinar. It's coming to you in a private email to you. And if for some crazy reason, within 10 minutes it ain't there, check your spam. Just check the spam, ma'am. Because, boy, especially Yahoo, they love to throw it in there. And so does some of the other email accounts. They like to just throw stuff like that in spam because they think it's spam, okay? But it's not. So check your spam, and if it's not there, then pick up the phone and call us, okay? And so that we can get your link to you while we're on the phone with you on the spot. So, but right now, get your tickets, guys. Get your tickets. What a webinar. Earlier today, I played a 3-minute portion of BP Earthwatch's presentation. It's amazing. And another video I did earlier today, I play you 3 minutes of Gil Brazard, which was amazing. just to give you a small sample of the 7 different presentations and speakers in this webinar. It's incredible. I'm going along all the way down the line with the different speakers. All right, guys. Mike Around the World is amazing in this webinar. Wow. You thought he was amazing last night. Wow. I'll be back. We have exactly 3.5 hours left. What? 3.5 hours? And the webinar will begin from right now. God bless all of you. I'll see you in a little bit with another update on the coming apocalypse.